The first day in junior high school, there was this guy sitting in the back of the class, just screwing around. And all the seats were taken except the ones next to him. So I just fell down and sat next to him. It turned out to be Doug.
Hello there.
Like, we were good friends for a couple of years before we even, got into a music thing at all. Then John was tinkling on the piano down in the music room to audition people who were interested.
Yeah, we started out as a trio with piano, drums, and guitar.
You have to understand, we were the only band in the school. It wasn't like how it was after the Beatles when it seemed like every school had 50 bands. We were the band of the school.
The instrumental trio, John Fogerty, Stu Cook, and Doug Clifford, initially went under the name the Blue Velvets. They became a four-piece when John's older brother Tom joined on vocals. Under the name Tommy Fogerty and the Blue Velvets, they released a handful of singles that helped build their reputation around the Bay Area. Then, during February of 1964, their world was shaken by a hurricane that had blown in from across the Atlantic.
So in 64, we'd already been together 5 years. And our listening experience, the kind of stuff we were into, was pretty much similar to the Beatles. And when the Beatles hit, we said, wow, the door's wide open, because the Beatles really just changed the whole thing for all musicians.
The month after the Beatles heralded the start of the so-called British invasion, San Francisco's Channel 9 broadcast Anatomy of a Hit, a television program that told the story of Cast Your Fate to the Wind by jazz artist Vince Guaraldi. This single had been a hit for Fantasy, the San Francisco-based record label. Having watched the documentary, John and Tom Fogerty crossed the Bay Bridge and played their songs to Max Weiss, Fantasy's co-founder and resident hipster.
I have perfect pitch and natural rhythm. And just by one listening of just maybe 4 or 5 bars, usually 5 bars, I can spot whether a record's going to make it or not.
Impressed by what he heard, and no doubt aware of the tremendous success of the Beatles and the growing beat group phenomenon, Weiss signed the group to Fantasy. Wanting the band's name to sound more British, the label opted for a new one, unaware of its offensive racial connotations.
Thought it sounded British, Beatle-y, and all the rest. And that was the reason, trying to emulate the English thing.
As their sound evolved, Stu Cook switched from piano to bass, Tommy Fogerty to rhythm guitar, and John Fogerty assumed the role of lead vocalist. And by late 1966, it was beginning to look like the group was on the verge of a breakthrough. But with the escalation of the Vietnam War and the shadow of the draft hanging over young men across the states, the group's progress was brought to a halt. John Fogerty enlisted in the Army Reserve, and Doug Clifford served in the Coast Guard. During this period, the musical spotlight had shifted to San Francisco in what would soon explode into the Summer of Love.
It exploded while I was gone. San Francisco just broke wide open. Everybody was talking about it, and I was away.
I like Country Joe and the Fish, and the Jefferson Airplane, Quicksilver Messenger Service.
Well, they're local groups that have been playing around here. I haven't seen them for a long time, and they're really making it. They're doing a real good thing, man.
I got out of the Army in 67, and we sort of resolved to really go for it. To either we were really going to commit ourselves and everything we had, or else we weren't going to make it.
A major turning point was the release of their single, Porterville. It didn't just sound like